You. I've asked Scott to open our meeting for us. It is just an open. It does not require any motion.
Okay, we have a little bit of housekeeping to do. And so I would ask if there are any nominations for chairperson of the DRB.
I would like to nominate Cheryl.
Cheryl has been nominated. Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations?
No.
Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you,
It
Scott.
sounded unanimous.
Thank you. Diane and Lenny, did you sign in on one of the sheets, please? Thank you so much. Thank you all and welcome. We are reorganizing, so is there a motion for vice chair?
I nominate Charlie Foster as vice chair.
I'll second that.
Do I have an option?
No.
Where's my choice?
All in favor of Charlie for vice chair?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you.
Yay.
And
No one heard my vote.
no.
I didn't hear you say that.
Yeah,
And I will nominate Crystal for clerk. Is there a second?
I'll second hers.
Thank you. All in favor, Cheryl, aye.
Charlie, aye.
Diane, I.
I vote for myself. Crystal, aye.
Thank you, everyone. So we do need to annually determine the day and time of our meeting. We are the first and third Monday at 5 o'clock. I would like to suggest we continue that because it's kind of in my DNA now. So
Sure.
is everybody good with that?
Wonderful.
Was that
Agreed.
5 o'clock?
5 o'clock, the first and third Monday. That work for you, John?
Yes.
Thank you all. All right. So we have visitors. Are there any visitors who are not here for one of our hearings that we are hearing tonight? Okay. So we don't have any public comments that are not a part of each one of these applications. And I do not have any additions to the agenda. Does anyone else?
Nope.
Okay, thank you so much. I would like an approval of the minutes from March 17th, please.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from March 17th.
Thank you, Crystal. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Charlie. All in favor, Cheryl, aye.
Crystal, aye.
Charlie, aye.
John Gannon, I.
Thank you so much. Okay, so moving right along. We are going to open the hearing on the continuation of the Matterhorn. So if you guys would like to take the front row seats there, thank you. Now, this is a continuation of the hearing which began 2 weeks ago on application 2025-018. The property address is 7 North Main Street. The owners are Matt and Veronica Korn. The proposal is for additional signs in the Village District and the Flood Hazard Historic and Village Design Review Overlay Districts. Our applicable codes are enormous numbers. Section 213, 221, 222, 223, 224, 226, 227, 229, 233, 234, 240, 246, 271, and 272. And that's Article 2. Article 4, Section 420, 440, and 450B. Article 5, Section 510, 511, 512, 520, 521, 522, 530E, and 540. Article 6, Section 602 and 620. Article 7, nope, sorry, no Article 7. Article 8, Section 801, 802, 803, 822, E, F, and H. 823K, 831, 830, 831, 832, 833, 842, 843, 844, 850, 860, 870, 871, 873, 874, 880, 881, and 890. I bet none of you realized how many sections there are in our zoning ordinance, and that's only part of it. I would just like to do a little, as Scott, just a little homework, housekeeping, something. In section 272, it refers to who may attend and be heard at a public hearing. I just want to point out that who can be heard at a public hearing are the abutters or people in the neighborhood. And we now have, because the state has mandated it, what we used to have is a, what was called a group of 10, which means 10 people could put themselves together as a group. Last year, the state legislature changed that to a group of 20. So those are the people who can actually be heard at this hearing, at all of these hearings. But I just wanted to make sure everybody was aware of that. Bonnie, would you please be sure to sign in? Thank you. So we being the DRB, manage these by assigning one of our members the task of kind of putting together a draft decision, which we all operate under. And John Gannon graciously offered 2 weeks ago to do the Matterhorn. So I'll turn it over to you, John.
Thank you, Cheryl. So at our previous hearing on March 17th, we went through most of the articles, but there are a couple of things that still need.
Oh, wait a minute. You know what I forgot? I forgot to do the, are there any conflicts of interest or ex parte discussions
No.
to the board?
No.
Thank you. And also, even though you did raise your right hand and testify at our hearing on the 17th, would you please vote again? Thank you. Do you swear the testimony you provide is the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you both. Sorry, John.
Oh, no problem. All right. So we've been through most of the sections of the zoning ordinance,
Because
but
the
there,
woman who was here last week isn't here, and has Ken.
Okay.
Sorry.
but there are some updates. So there's an additional exhibit, which is Exhibit 16, which is photos of signs from the site inspection. There's a total of 16 photos that were taken by Crystal Holt. So that's an additional exhibit.
There's a question from Jessica Roberts.
Jessica, would you, excuse me, everybody, I'm going to ask that
Well, just
Jessica
go
take
on.
a seat up here and grab one of these, because as some of you know, we have to record, so anything that is said has to be recorded. Jessica is our expert, and she's got a question.
I just want to know, can you make sure you get me those exhibits for my files?
Yes, absolutely.
I'll
Crystal,
forward it to
you
you.
want to send them?
I'll forward it to you right now.
Charlie's going to forward right now. Thank you. Thank you, John.
All right. So let me now move on to information. So during the hearing on March 17, 2025, applicants testified that certain signs were being eliminated from the application. It would not be affixed to any of the buildings. So these include an 8x6 wood employees only sign. 2, a Chicago hot dog structure mounted sign to the left of the ordering window on the hot dog shed. A structure mounted sign to the right of the ordering window on the hot dog shed. 2 12x8 wood exit signs. A 11x15 wood line starts here sign. And an 8x6 wood employees only sign. Is that correct?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, good. So those are removed from the application. Now, the Design Review Board conducted a site visit on March 31st, 2025. Some of the signs referenced above, and that's in the draft opinion I've done, some of the signs that were in your application were removed or moved to a different location. Signs that were moved include a 2x3 Polish sausage structure mounted sign below the ordering window on the hot dog shed was moved to the exterior right side of the hot dog shed. A 2x2 vintage Vienna beef structure mounted sign located on the front of the pre-existing building, the garage, next to the hot dog shed, was moved to the exterior left side of the garage next to the hot dog shed. And then during the site visit, it was also noticed that certain signs were removed. This included the 6 10x14 Vienna hot dog structure mounted signs on the exterior right side of the hot dog shed, and a 2x3 vintage Vienna beef structure mounted sign located on the front of the pre-existing building garage next to the hot dog shed. Other signs that we received photos of include, there were 4 15x7 wood signs: "Franks for coming," "Relish the moment," "Mustard your courage," and "Dog so good," and "Taste the raises," were mounted on the 4 of them were mounted on the hot dog shed. 3 of these signs were mounted to the supports for the section of the roof over the window, and 1 of those signs was placed on the section of the roof over the order window. The snow falling sign that was part of the application was placed on the side of Matterhorn Apothecary, where the American flag is. So I just want to note those locations. In addition, there were new signs that were not part of the original application or any amendments to the application that were made on March 17th, in which we heard testimony for. And these include the following: a small green cross sign located near the front door of Matterhorn Apothecary, 4 birdhouse signs near the front door of Matterhorn Apothecary, a small sign around the neck of Frankie, the Frankfurt statue, a flag displaying the Matterhorn logo, a T-shirt with advertising on the large skeleton sitting in the large green Adirondack chair, Matterhorn stickers on the feet of the same skeleton, and 2 toy fire hydrants with Matterhorn stickers located in the front of the hot dog shed. So a question about, what is the small green cross sign for?
It says that it's medical, and it's been there since day one.
Okay, but it was not part of the application. So is Matterhorn a medical dispensary for cannabis?
We sell medical dispensary, correct, and we also are recreational.
We're allowed to do both.
I didn't hear that.
Gotta speak into the microphone, guys.
Here, take one of the,
You
take
can
both of
take on
these.
medical cannabis customers in our stores, all of ours, as well as adult use. So that is a sign. That is a universal sign for medical. We didn't know, we had it since day one when we opened.
Okay. And are you adding that to your application?
I guess it must be added to our application, but it's there.
Well,
No.
no.
Yes, I'll answer yes to that, because I guess it's a yes or no question.
Yes,
Okay, so then there are the 4 birdhouses, which all have signage on them. Are you adding those to the application?
It's a birdhouse. Where's the manufacturer's name on it? I mean,
those are,
this is
there's,
getting out of control.
this is,
It's out of control. 4 birdhouses you can't put on a building.
The problem is that a lot of them have a Matterhorn sticker on them, which then is called advertising. So there's stickers on everything.
oh, so all the
And that's
stickers need to
advertising.
come out. Stickers need to come out.
Well, just so you're aware, you put a sticker on it, it turns to advertising.
Well, I guess I'm aware of that now. So all stickers that say Matterhorn should come off. Okay, we'll make sure that happens.
Okay. Then
Please.
Then there's a small sign around the statute Frankie. I believe it's a menu sign.
No, it's not a menu sign. It's the
Oh.
directions on making a Chicago hot dog. Anyone
Directions
can
on
go home-
making a Chicago hot dog. Sorry.
Yeah, anyone can go home and make a hot dog themselves.
Okay. Well, that's an additional sign. Is that now part of the application?
It was.
Did we put that in?
It's not listed. He's asking, do you want to add it to your list?
Yes, we want to add it.
Okay. All right. So then we also identified a flag displaying the Matterhorn logo. It was an additional flag that was flying on the day of the site inspection.
That's correct. That's our American flag with the Matterhorn mountain, not our logo. It's not the same as our logo.
It's the one in Vermont. It's a mountain.
There's no words on it. There's nothing on it.
It's just a mountain.
Okay.
It's a mountain on American flag. They make them like that for the New England states. So we thought that would be appropriate. To have the American flag there. That was good. About none of the-
They
Are
said-
you gonna add that to the application?
Well, I don't know
Yes.
what we're adding. We
I
said
thought-
we can have an American flag and we took down our open sign because we couldn't have two open signs. So that's not good.
Can you have the
So we
American
put an
flag?
American flag, which they said we could.
Is that correct? Can you have American flag out?
This is no longer my case.
So if I take it down and put a bald eagle on it, I'd be fine, correct?
No, we have an American flag on there.
All right, you're arguing it's an American flag. That's fine.
Okay, thank
That's where
you.
it is.
I mean, it's fine that's your definition. I may not agree with it, but that is what you're saying. Also, we noted that there's a T-shirt with advertising on the large skeleton sitting in the large green Adirondack chair.
It's not advertising, it's just the same.
What's it say?
Couldn't even tell you. It's not advertising. You guys could tell us. You guys took
Did you
pictures, a
take the
million
picture
pictures
of
of it,
that,
obviously.
of the skeleton, what it says that's
Yep, I'm looking at it right
bothersome
now.
for advertising?
Charlie's gonna look at it. He'll tell
Okay.
us.
All right, thank you.
It says I'm only here for the hot dogs.
What's it say? I'm sorry.
I'm only here for the hot dogs.
Thank
Why-
you.
Why would that be offensive?
No, it's not
or-
offensive. We're discussing the advertising component of the items that are mounted on the.
Oh, you can't
event.
advertise that.
So if you're
So
promoting
if
the
I
items,
said I'm only here for the roast beef, that would be fine. So I don't sell roast beef.
well, you sell food. In theory, if the shirt said, I'm only here for the.
Whatever. Okay,
Wow,
just
wow,
take
this is good.
the
This
shirt
is
off.
unbelievable.
Take the shirt off.
You should.
All right, okay.
Matt, listen, we're all volunteers. I understand you're upset, but
It's nitpicking, you know.
We're just doing our
talking to
job,
Crystal
so-
briefly, and about, you keep mentioning this historic district. This is the way the historic district is. It obviously isn't going too well, because look at Main Street. Half the buildings are vacant, they're empty. Isn't it about time we change the laws on that? Because my question is, how long has that historic district been around? Can anyone answer that? Is it 10 years, 100 years, 50 years?
This United States Department of the Interior application was August 28, 1980.
So-
Those buildings were here way
Oh, I
longer.
understand that.
We
but
have
I'm just
pictures
wondering, I
with
keep on going back
horse
to
and
the city.
buggies.
When I
So
bought my building, how did you guys allow vinyl siding? That is not historic. I'm not saying you did, but whatever board was here, I guess they didn't care. That board didn't care.
everybody cares. But we're moving on, okay?
If I had any objections about my place, it would be because I have vinyl siding on the building. It's absolutely disgusting. This is ludicrous.
Let's
Go
move
ahead.
on.
Okay, so are you adding the T-shirt or not?
Are we adding the
We
T-shirt
would
to your
like to, we would
application?
like to add the T-shirt. It's there right now, unless, if I'm adding it and it's a no allowance, then we have to take it off, I suppose.
Unfortunately, we are going through Article 8 and all of those sections. So we have to, our job is to use the exhibits, your testimony, and make sure that it works within the town ordinance. So you might think it's nitpicking, but it is our job.
Okay,
So
So add-
the
so-
T-shirt can be considered advertising.
all right, so therefore, we'll add it and you're gonna tell us to take it off. So we'll just
No,
leave it,
change the word.
we'll take the shirt off of there.
You'll take the shirt off?
No,
Okay, so we're not adding it, John.
No, we are adding it. I'm just gonna have something else written on it. It doesn't pertain to advertising.
We are adding it, John. Thank you.
Okay,
I have to
Thank you.
edit if I'm not adding anything that has to do with advertising.
In other words, he's gonna have a
If
T-shirt
I
on
said it's a
there,
nice day out here today, does that require
something positive.
a permit? A T-shirt?
No, because we're not advertising.
Well,
It's what
that's
we
she's
have.
thinking.
It's advertising.
It's a nice day out here. Is
That's not
advertising. So I'm
advertising.
asking you, if I change the shirt to say it's a nice day out here or something similar to that, that's okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Signs that are advertising are what we're looking at. Thank you, John.
All right, so then there are the Matterhorn stickers on the feet of the skeleton. Are you going to remove those or make them part of your application?
We're gonna remove them because it'll be coming back to us to remove them. So we'll remove them. We'll remove them.
All right, and I will have to say, it's very frustrating that when we did our site inspection, that we found new signs that were not part of the original application.
Signs are those.
So then finally, there's the 2 toy fire hydrants, excuse me, with Matterhorn stickers located in front of the hot dog shed.
Okay, so the stickers have to come off. This is all really about Matterhorn stickers advertising.
Yeah.
Okay, so stickers come off.
And are there stickers anywhere else
Yeah, they're on the board.
that advertise Matterhorn?
I don't know if we have Matterhorn. I have to
There's a
look.
lot of stickers on that board.
Yeah, it's from other
That
people.
board to, as you're looking at the hot dog stand, the board to the left. I don't believe, I'm not sure if Crystal took a picture of that.
Well,
I
it
don't-
doesn't matter.
I don't know if any of them were Matterhorn.
Most of them seemed like
I think there was
businesses, people who come to
Wilmington and-
visit and
yeah.
stick their stickers on. Yeah.
We'll take any Matterhorn stickers off.
Thank
Okay.
you.
All right, I think that about covers what information I needed. And I think unless there's some questions from the DRB, I think we can close the hearing.
The only question that was remaining was the wooden sign that's mounted on the Matterhorn building.
The menu sign?
Yeah, right now there isn't anything on it. And so I don't think it was
Gotcha.
part of this application. The photo is included in the exhibit, right, John? But there wasn't anything
Okay.
on it.
No, because those are the menu board. I said it would be a menu board.
Yeah, I think
We
it's
haven't
listed as that, but
developed
we don't have anything.
We don't have that included, and
Of what-
I'm not sure whether that, Jessica,
We were just trying to
is
figure
the
out.
menu board, the signs that are going on the menu board. Is that something that you, as zoning administrator, can
Yes,
approve? And
they can bring me what you want on your menu board once you decide what it is. If they approve the menu board, I can then approve the content without having to go back to DRB.
so and what we
Okay.
have right now is the menu board. That's a part of the application.
Correct. Okay.
So, and Jessica can
Do the rest.
take care of,
Take that part in? Okay.
Yep. so we don't have to add that.
Gotcha. No
That
stickers.
would be helpful. Thank you, Jessica.
I think that was my only question.
Any other questions?
Charlie, questions?
No.
Nope.
Diane?
I wasn't in the.
Oh, that's right, you weren't on it, right. Aren't you lucky? Thank you. So I have no other questions, and thank you so much. We will close the hearing, and we will get you our decision to Jessica, and Jessica will
Okay.
provide you with the decision.
Thank you very much.
So thank you for coming in. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
So I just want to make sure, I'm going to repeat myself, that everybody signed in and put your address if you want any of the information. So Jessica has your address. And we will now open hearing on application 2025-021, 1 East Main Street, Travis Wendell. And the proposal is change windows and doors in the Village District, Flood Hazard, Historic, and Design Review Overlay Districts. Our applicable code sections are section 221, 222, 223, 224, 226, 227, 240, 246, 271, 272. Article 4, section 420, 440, 450B. Article 5, section 510, 511, 512, 520, 521, 522, 530, 531, and 540. And Article 6, section 602, 610A through C. And 620 A, C, E, J, F. Nope, I guess I made a mistake. It's 610 and 620. Right, too many sections. And in Article 7, Section 710, 720, 721, 722 A and E, 723, and 730 A and L. Are there any interested parties who would like to speak? Okay,
Cheryl, do you have the name of who's attending?
those are the people who are probably
No, the one that
abutters.
doesn't have a name on it.
Jason and Chrissy
No.
Bitterini?
The 9-1, there's a 516 area code.
Oh, I don't know.
Jason's got the old
I
red
think
fox.
that's Eric Silverstein.
Yeah, I know Jason and Chrissy, but we don't know who the other one is.
So I'm doing this from my mobile. I don't see a place where I can raise my hand. Is that how this operates?
No, we're just asking what case you're here for.
I'm here for, mostly for the last one about the demolishing of those properties.
Okay,
But,
great.
but also for Travis's, I just want to understand with both these buildings, how do they plan on doing this work without constantly coming into my driveway?
That's fine.
Everybody needs to understand that that's a private driveway. I mean, I know Travis was in it last week driving in there for something, but when his workers come in, some of them have been rude to me, and I don't want anybody using that driveway.
Thank you,
Nobody's
Jason.
ever asked me for permission.
Jason, we're just asking what case you're here for. When we get the comments, we'll let you know.
Okay, yeah, so both.
The 516 number, the person that is just on there, 516, can you give us your name, please? Your,
Hello.
yep, what's your name, please?
Hi, Eric Silverstein.
Okay, great. Thank
Okay,
you, Eric.
thank you. So I asked if there's any interested parties. And for the board, are there any conflicts of interest or ex parte discussions?
No.
Thank you. Travis, would you please raise your right hand? Do you swear the testimony you provide is the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you so much. And in keeping with our plan, Crystal is your case manager.
Hello. How's it going? Okay, the first thing I'm gonna do is just read off the exhibits. So we have exhibit number 1, Town of Wilmington cover sheet. Exhibit number 2, the notice of hearing. Number 3, application for DRB review, which was 4 pages long. 4, the screenshot of the proposed entry door. It's an 8-light door with side lights and a transom. 5 is a photo of the roof material on Northshire Bookstar, which is an example of the proposed roof material that you have in your application. 6 is a hand-drawn diagram of windows indicating the addition of a divider to create a 3/3. Number 7 is the formal notice of violation form, which was dated January 30th, 2025 from the zoning administrator. Number 8 is the informal, that's a typo on my own form, informal notice of violation form, which was dated December 13th, 2024. Number 9, suspected violation report form dated July 29th, 2024, indicating there were windows that were boarded up without permission. And then 10 is the list of abutters and the postage mailing dates. Anything else that you submitted or I should be aware of?
Sounds like it, yeah.
Okay. I'm just gonna clarify one thing. Cheryl, did you want me to add in that I'm, as part of these exhibits, the ones that I'm using from the 2019?
Yes, I would like to add those, please.
Okay, so 11, I guess we just need to put exhibits 1 through 9 from 2019 application. I used some of the pictures that you had submitted from the previous one to look at. Okay,
Thank you.
all right. So before we get started going through all of the fun articles, why don't you just tell me in your own words what we're doing
With what?
with what you want to, what you're proposing.
Well, I'm here to clear up the issue about the windows, which I felt I was on track since really day 1 of 19. That still stays the status quo. We wanted to do there's a submittal in that 19 that shows the building, and it has actually 3/3.
So that would be helpful if you remember which one, because I looked through all the applications, I didn't see that.
Oh, I didn't bring my computer, but it's, I have an example of what it looks like, but,
Is it a schematic? A
no,
photo?
it's a blueprint from the architects that
Okay.
did the downtown building originally, and, who
Does
I
that look
bought.
like this?
Exactly. That's it.
Okay, so
That's exhibit number 6.
so we went through,
You were the.
yeah, I
point
was
person.
there, you betcha.
And
So, and Jessica was very helpful in researching for us and getting us the information. I went through your 2019, and that's why we now added for exhibits, the application exhibits from 2019.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely clear though, because the 2019 decision appears to contradict itself. And I'm just gonna go to that, and then I was hoping maybe you had a plan. So in one section of the 2019 decision, under Article 5, Section 522, it states that plate glass in the large windows under the porch is historically accurate. Exhibit 3, see also findings of fact in Section 723B in DRB case 2019-2002 on page 11. So we have Exhibit 3. This is from 19.
Mhm.
And Exhibit 3 is the historic, the picture of the historic with the large plate glass windows.
This one was exhibit 3 from that application.
Yep.
Yeah. And then the contradiction is, it's page 10. Yep. So it says, and this is 723B, the conclusion of law, or findings of fact is that the historic feature of the porch on the front facade will be restored and will look as shown on Exhibit 3. And the fenestration on the front facade will be as shown on Exhibit 6. Exhibit 6 is what Crystal's got in her hand.
Right.
But it doesn't say, it says the fenestration, but it's not referring to the windows.
Fenestration on the front facade, that
Right.
is the windows.
Yeah.
Okay, then that is this.
Yeah.
And I remember talking about doing it that
Do you remember any of this? You were there.
Can you
I
pass
remember I
that one
did
down real
yesterday.
quick?
Yeah, can you hand that to Diane?
I'm gonna pull it up on my laptop.
So that's the decision from 2019 that, as I said, it is contradictory. Because one of them is the wide plate glass windows, like were the display windows for the Wilmington Home Center.
Mhm.
And the other is the windows without the center that you have put in.
The windows.
Right, there were 3 windows, and then I remember you saying, can we put a mullion across the center so we match the 2 over 2 above? We'll bring a 3 over 3 down. I said, yeah, no problem. So that's my recollection. I don't remember being granted full plate glass
that's-
after
That's that.
Eric's
Yeah.
no-go.
It's weird too, because the National Register of Historic Places indicates it as flanked by large display windows, when the building had a slightly different front, but it was large display windows then too. So it's like all, everything says something different. Okay, well, still gonna ask my questions. All right, so starting with Article 2. Article 2 of the zoning ordinance provides the guidelines for the administrative procedures associated with our zoning regulations. It outlines the role of the DRB, what development requires our review and written decision, what requirements exist for a complete application, how the DRB makes decisions, the process to follow if you wish to make changes after receiving a DRB decision. It explains that public hearings are held by the DRB and that appeals are handled by the Superior Court of Vermont Environmental Division, tells you how to file an appeal, and finally, it outlines who can attend a hearing and be heard at a hearing. Do you have any questions about Article 2?
No.
Article 4, districts and uses. Section 440 goes into detail regarding the purpose of each district in town and the individual requirements for these districts. 1 East Main, as you know, is in the Village District with the Historic Design Review District overlay, and also it's in the Flood Hazard District. The previous DRB permit from 2019, it granted, I think we clarified this today, the first floor is retail, and then the second and third floors were like resident or apartments.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that's still, this will be the same. There's no change.
That's correct, yeah.
And then purposes, yeah, any questions about your district or the uses that are allowed there?
None.
Article 5 is the design review district and overlay districts. This is the one that asks a lot of questions about the historic design review district, about preserving the beauty, the vistas, and the visual character of the many buildings of historic significance as defined by the National and State Registers of Historic Places. In order to protect these characteristics, it is necessary to ensure that proper attention is given to the historic exterior features of buildings and structures, so as to provide a means by which long-term economic prosperity may be supported, property values may be stabilized and improved, or economic well-being of the community protected and fostered. So in the application from 2019, there was notes about returning certain architectural items back to the building.
Mhm.
That is still going to happen.
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And the
Can you elaborate a little bit? Are the brackets being
Yeah,
restored?
so on the porch post on the first floor, there were brackets.
Decorative,
Yep.
there were
and
the decorative ones at the lower level, right?
Yep, and so those have all been reworked and repaired. They're just sitting in our shop.
Uh-huh.
We're gonna put the pediments over these two doors and over the south Main Street windows that you wanted to have on there, Cheryl. Those are the only ones. Not on the porch. They weren't, I didn't have to have them on the porch, just on the,
Okay, the double brackets that are under the mansard roof.
correct. I don't have them all, but we have most of them. And the ones we're
And
missing,
you're
we'll have
planning
fabricated.
to reinstall those as
Mhm.
well? Okay, yeah.
so all those original components are returning.
Yeah, we still have them all, yeah.
Okay.
Most of the mansard brackets, we're missing a handful.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I have a question. Can we make sure that is listed in this permit because his other permit's expired?
Yep. Got that, Crystal?
Make it in there.
Thank you.
Okay, so as part of this section, you've also proposed a different style door. I think I read in your application that there was some ADA requirements associated with access into the building. And so the door that you're proposing meets those
Mhm, yeah.
requirements? Is
So
that-
Division of Fire Safety said I couldn't keep the doors. They need to be ADA requirement. They trump historical. So we're gonna keep the center door. We're gonna rehab that, fix that. That's fine. But the two left and right side doors have to be replaced for ADA. So
Okay.
it seemed like the best way to fill the void of that space.
Is that because of the
Back up the
width
image
of
really
the- Was it because of the width of the doors? or-
It's they're two small doors. I need
Oh, okay,
I need
they
a
were like-
full 3.0 door.
Right,
And then we also, originally when we bought the building, we had to build the deck back up for ADA because there was no ramp to get on the deck. So we've already taken care of the ramp requirements. Now we have to take care of the door requirements.
And you have the doors that you're requesting as an exhibit.
Correct.
Yeah, they're in here. And it shows,
They'll fill the spaces of those doors.
Cheryl, it's this example of a door. There's an 8-light, side lights, and a transom. So there'd be two
Correct.
flanking the remaining middle door.
Yep.
Okay. And then the example that you gave us of the roof of North Shire Bookstore,
Yeah.
you want to elaborate a little bit on that?
So I'd say 95% of the mansard roofs in the state are slate. And there's a small example of Western or, Eastern white cedar. And they did the North Shire Bookstore in Manchester in their historic district. And ever since I saw them do that a few years ago, I said, that's what I'm gonna do. I don't want to put asphalt back up there. That's not the
I was gonna say,
application
what
for
is,
asphalt
yeah,
or red asphalt at that.
Well, you also have that as an exhibit in this application.
Correct. I figured if I was coming here, I'll throw it all in the pot.
Yep.
it's almost like you've done this before or something.
Well, I'm hoping this is the last round.
Well, it depends if we go another 2 years or not.
That's not the plan, Charlie.
We're gonna need to speed it up.
You left that one open for
we're
me.
thrilled to see some activity going on.
Yeah,
Trust me.
I've had some close people on the first floor. They just it's just fallen through.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's been a tough one. So that space is like 85% ready to go. So we're gonna concentrate on the second and third floor and get the apartments, because I know where those will go.
Great. All right. Okay, any other, let me just check my notes here.
Well, I think we
Alright, so
need
then
to
we
look at
talk
flood.
about the, yeah, no, I'm talking about Article
Okay.
5 for the historic. So the window piece, currently what's in there is 3 vertical.
Where are we talking,
Your
sorry?
windows on the building.
Oh, and the, yes, they're
Right now
3
they're-
vertical, they're
yeah.
missing the center mullion,
Okay.
Yep.
So you're going to put in the center mullion.
correct.
Is it gonna be visible from both inside, outside, or are
Yep.
you gonna?
Mhm.
So it'll match the same profile?
Correct.
From what we're seeing outside?
It'll
That's
look,
great.
give the impression of a 3.
It's a simulated divided light, not true divided light.
Okay,
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right.
So this is in accordance with Exhibit 6.
correct.
I want to be sure that we have that in there, since we had confusion.
Gotcha.
All right. Writing number 6, all of us were like, where's Exhibit 6? What's this exhibit? Okay. Any other questions about the historic design review overlay from the DRB?
Diane?
No, I'm
John, you
glad
have
to
any
hear
questions?
You're still on track to get those things back onto the building.
Yeah, oh yeah, we have, and they were always,
And I-
you know,
we
ready to go.
understand it's a financial thing and.
Time and
it's
finances.
Time and finances.
I got one when I don't have the other usually.
Right, but it's such a,
That's probably.
it's the corner of our, historic town. and
Oh, I
it's such
know.
an Important,
Right on the corner too.
right on the
so,
corner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it would be nice that when it's all done, maybe have a big celebration.
I'm excited.
So now we're gonna look at Article 6, the flood hazard district. Section 602 just discusses the lands to which our zoning applies. 610 covers the developmental standards, which basically just says there's specific requirements around any development in areas of Wilmington that are identified as areas of special flood hazard. In particular, things like water supply systems, sewage systems, and of course, anything that's floatable. So in your previous application, there wasn't any items then that would be impacted by those flood standards. What about now?
Yeah, no, all the mechanicals are still, nothing's in the basement, mechanical.
Okay.
So what we had for conditions, I'd like to continue those conditions. One was that the basement shall remain empty and unused. Are you good with that, Travis?
That's fine.
Okay. The next one was that all floatables below the base flood elevation shall be secured. One of the things that you had below, which is in the basement, is your oil tank. Not anymore?
Nothing there.
Okay, so it's empty?
There's not one in there. There's never was one.
Well, it was in
Yeah.
19, there still wasn't.
Yeah, I
oil
think I
tank.
was trying to get that as a source because I don't have any real estate for anything outside.
Right.
So, but
So, but you don't need that for a heat source anymore?
correct.
And the other one was that your refuse containers shall be located on the interior of the building and shall be sufficient to accommodate the residential users as well as the commercial users and located above the base flood elevation,
Yeah, this
which
should be in
means
the-
above the base.
Correct. We're 3 feet above the BFE on that. But yeah,
Okay. So are you good with that?
yep,
Super, thank you.
it's fine.
Yeah, I can speak on that if you'd like. Yes. So just a corner or a small section of his buildings in the base flood elevation, and the floodplain manager wasn't concerned with it, didn't even think it needed comments, because he's just doing doors, windows, and the roof, which are all out of the flood hazard area.
All right, Article 7, standards. This is the ones we ask everyone, and or we're just gonna ask you again. We like asking questions.
All right.
All right, Article 7 discusses the standards that apply to all uses and land development in town. We'll start with section 710, which is the use performance standards. Will there be any continuous, permanent, ongoing, or frequent vibration produced, or I'm sorry, discernible at the property line without the aid of instruments?
Yeah, so you're saying will be anything vibrating that's caused by something other than instruments?
No, it's saying, will I be able to pick it up without the use of some sort of special instrument? Is there any vibrations inside of the building that will impact your neighbors?
No.
Noise. Are you aware that there is quiet hours between 9 PM and 7 AM in our zoning?
I do now.
Will there be any continuous, permanent, ongoing, or frequent noise in excess of that of a normal conversation existing at the property boundary line?
I don't see it.
Mm, mm,
How does that, let's go back.
Mhm.
So let's say I get like a restaurant or somebody that, like a bar says they want to move in. So they can come here and get their own hearing on what their requirements are going to be to do all that, or am I still on point to answer that or deal with that question?
You need a change of use because your use right now is retail. So
Yeah.
you have to
Oh,
change it
totally.
to
Yeah, I get it. So,
restaurant bar.
So at the change of use hearing, then we would address all those.
gotcha.
things. And then you would just write it all down.
Yes.
And then it's
At this
on.
point, no.
You're like, this is on you. So as far as commercial operations, right now it's set up for retail, so I'm not gonna ask that. And then injurious or noxious practices. All right, so section 721, no land development or use shall result in undue adverse effect on anything listed in section 721, but specifically for your application, we're just wanting to make sure that there's no undue adverse effect on the character, aesthetics, and scenic value of the neighborhood and area. So the windows, doors, and roof, will they have any negative effect on the character, aesthetics, or scenic value?
No.
Section 722, land development and uses in all districts shall preserve the character of town consistent with its rural and agricultural heritage, and specifically in your case, preserving the historic downtown. I did have one question about 722. Do you know what the square footage is of your lower level that would be used as retail?
Well, the box is about 2,200 square feet.
Okay. Cheryl, did you want me to ask the specific questions in that section that discuss any retail over 2,000 square feet?
Right.
Section,
Like I said, the box is 2,200 square feet. You take out the 2 sets of stairs and 2 bathrooms.
it's just
It
like
shrinks.
3 questions, and I'm sure that they're fine. I'm just gonna ask you them anyway, that since you're here,
Sure.
might as well just make sure we checked all the boxes while I locate the boxes. All right. Any day now. Here we go. Also not. My apologies. I thought you were gonna say less than 2,000, so I didn't put it in my notes.
Sorry.
It's all right.
I was like, it's gotta be somewhere close to that.
So you want 721? Are you looking at 19?
Oh, I was in 731. That would probably be why I wasn't finding it. All right, maximum square footage for retail. Thanks, Cheryl. All right, if stores exceeding 2,000 square feet may be approved by the Development Review Board in the event that the business is consistent with the unique character and ambiance of the community. You currently don't have a tenant, but you're going to keep it as retail.
Mhm.
Okay. It is found to be in the best interest of the community. It is the minimum size required to reasonably accommodate the business. It will enhance or preserve the economic base and economic diversity of the town as a whole, and it will create economic stability and viability for the community. I think any business that is in there will do those things.
Yeah.
But just be mindful that it needs to support Wilmington's vibe as a downtown.
Absolutely.
All right, section 723 just touches on basically the historic preservation, rehabilitation, and restoration, because you have a building that has historic value. We just want to make sure that all the things that you do to it support that. We already talked about the windows, talked about the doors, and then the roof. Do we have any questions about that roof material?
I don't.
Anybody?
Do you have any?
You said they're using like a cedar shingle?
Yeah, Atlantic white cedar shake. So when they naturally go, they'll go silvery gray. Should match the paint job.
So they're not painted, they're just natural.
Correct.
Right, and then they age. Like
Yep.
they get a little patina, whatever.
I'm sorry, say it one more time. It's a white cedar.
Atlantic white cedar shake.
I think that's in your,
It's in there.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
the thing you wrote. All right, so then section 730 talks about specific standards. Are you adding any lighting?
There'll be some ceiling lights on the porch, but I don't see any other outside lighting from that.
They're downcast
Correct.
and they're in what, the soffit?
There'll be the sconce, or not sconce, but like a flush mount light.
Yeah.
Is there a problem if I have a hanging light?
Any lights that are in Wilmington have to be downcast and shielded.
Okay,
Is
that's
the
easy.
zoning pertaining to lights.
No problem.
Also, if you're adding them, if there's an existing light fixture and you're replacing it, that's different. If
Yeah,
you're
sure.
adding new lighting, then you need to talk to Jessica.
All lighting just needs to be downcast and shielded.
Okay.
If it's not, then you'd have to come back.
And we prefer you don't use a harsh white light, that light is.
No, I'll pick a bulb
softer,
appropriate for
like
that
a
space.
Softer light,
Yeah.
not that
Absolutely.
bright.
Like
light.
warm,
You don't want
Warm.
a street light, fluorescent light in there?
No, no.
like
Neon
We want
pink.
the warm.
Neon.
glow.
5,000
Yeah.
Kelvin.
Warm glow.
And then, yeah, that's, we talked about the flood. That's all of section 7. Does anyone have any questions outside of those articles?
John, you have anything?
Nope.
Diane?
John?
Well, we're done with all your articles.
Correct.
Do we want to address Jason's?
I was gonna
ones yet?
ask for that, yeah. So access to the back of your building,
So right
Jason,
away,
Jason was speaking about his driveway.
it's I believe a right of way around the building.
You do have a right of way.
There's a right of way between the two buildings, but the driveway that's just next in between my building and his building is my driveway. There is a right of way between the other two, but I'm talking about the one that you look at 4 South Main, immediately to the left. That is not a right of way. That is my driveway.
I have to go back and check out the deed,
I mean,
because I have permission to park directly behind Eric's building. So once in a while, I'll pull in there, and park directly behind Eric's building.
I didn't hear.
Directly
Jason-
behind Eric's is Eric's. Yes.
Jason, we're having trouble understanding you. I'm sorry. I also would ask, since you have decided to be a witness, would you please raise your right hand? And do you swear the testimony you provide is the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
We muted again.
Oh, I'm
Jason?
sorry. Yes, I do. Yes.
Thank you.
Think about that one.
Okay, so we did at our, you were not owner of that property at our 2019 hearing on
Okay.
East Main, and at that time, the owner of that property testified that Travis had a right of way through that driveway. So,
Well, the right of way is between Travis's building and the ones that want to be demolished. That's the right of way. That driveway is on my deed, and I don't have a problem with if Travis wanted to use it, but no one's ever asked permission. I've been yelled at by one of Travis's workers when I first got the thing. And I have people living there and they're blocked in sometimes. So no, that they can't use that driveway to just when they want to. It's even when the cop was living there a year or so ago, he'd get in arguments with people coming in there and parking to go to the bar across the street. And I understand that people thought that was okay when it was a Red Fox shop, but that's not the case anymore. It's residential. And that's why, I'm trying to put an end to this because it gets really annoying for the tenants.
so, okay, so as I said, the previous owners of the property testified in 2019 that Travis had a right of way to use that driveway.
Yeah,
So-
but they don't own it anymore.
Well,
referring to the other, he's talking about what I believe is the driveway on South Main Street, no?
No,
Castle.
that is what, I thought that's what he was saying as
Yeah,
well.
that's what he's talking about.
what's that? He's talking about his South Main Street driveway.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
South Main.
Yeah.
That's what
Yes.
she said.
Yes, the driveway on South Main Street is mine. The one that's in between the other two buildings is a right of way.
Right.
Yes, we are aware of that, but as I said, the driveway that we are now talking about with you, Jason, is the driveway that is coming in, the road cut is on South Main. Yeah.
And the one on South Main is mine, and I don't want people using it whenever they feel like it. It doesn't matter to me what the previous owner swore to. She doesn't own it anymore. I do.
So, okay, so Travis, this is, you're looking like this is news to you.
No, I've talked to
No,
Travis.
it's just,
before about it.
it's about, we have had access to it for years, and I'm not an asshole of a neighbor, but I mean, no, I was on the roof, Jason, when you had my first interaction with my employee, and I watched it from the roof. We're all nice guys. We don't give anybody a hard time. So
That guy did, Travis.
listen, I'm speaking right now. So if that's what you want, then I'll comply. End of story, done.
Thank you, Travis. Thank you, Jason.
Or just ask for permission when you need it. That's all I'm saying. Just not using it whenever people want.
Thank
Okay,
you,
I
Jason.
got it.
Thank you, and we appreciate your testimony. Thank you. Are there any other questions?
No.
Who's next?
Huh?
How many signs are you gonna put?
Just one, just one.
Quiet.
Just one sign.
Don't put that in the paper.
Just
As you type.
thank you, Travis, for coming in. We appreciate it. And this is, I will close this hearing. And as you know, we will make our decision and Jessica will give you the information. Really appreciate your giving us the ability to look at those exhibits from 2019. Appreciate that.
I'll see you again in 2 years.
No, you won't.
Thank you. Yeah, sure. Okay. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jason. Now, the phone, is the phone Mr. Silverstein?
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct. Do you have the capacity to do anything other than a phone, Mr. Silverstein?
No, I don't. I'm only accessible by phone right now.
Okay. So I am going to open the hearing on application 2025-023. The property address is, 022. The property address is 3 East Main Street. The owner is 3-5 East Main Street LLC, Mr. Silverstein. The proposal is demolition and site stabilization in the Village District, flood hazard, historic and design review overlay districts. The applicable code sections are Article 2, Section 221, 222, 223, 224, 226, 227, 240, 246, 271, and 272. Article 4, Section 420, 440, 450B. Article 5, Section 510, 511, 512, 520, 521, 522, 530, 531, and 540. Article 6, Section 602, 609, and 620. And Article 7, Section 710, 720, 721, 722A, and 723. Mr. Silverstein, I have a question. We have two separate properties that we have two separate applications. They are obviously side by side, 3 and 5 East Main Street. Would you like us to do them as one hearing tonight, or would you like us to do them as 2 hearings? The application is of 2025-023 has the same information and the same applicable code sections.
And for convenience, we could do them together.
Okay, and while we're looking at this, who is John Jacobson?
I have no idea.
Okay, now there's someone on the screen that says John Jacobson.
It's someone on Zoom.
Not me.
Zoom, yeah.
John Jacobson, can you unmute yourself? Okay.
Okay, all right, so thank you. We will, even though it is 2 separate properties, and I'd just like to point out that because it is 2 separate properties and the owner has never asked that they be merged, the decisions on the 2 applications, 2025-022 and 2025-023, will be separate application decisions. So I just want to be sure that you're aware of that.
That's correct.
Thank you. Okay, so to the board, are there any conflicts of interest or ex parte discussions?
No.
No.
Thank you. And Mr. Silverstein, would you please raise your right hand, and do you swear the testimony you provide is the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. Are there any interested parties in the room who would like to be a witness? Thank you so much.
I'm just here to monitor what goes on.
So-
7 East Main Street?
So you are here for the Mason Hall?
Correct.
Thank you.
It's on the wall.
Sheila,
Yes.
would you like to be a witness?
Yes.
Okay, so would you please raise your right hand? Do you swear the testimony you provide is the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you, Sheila Osler. Okay.
Wait, you got another?
I'm sorry, Jerry,
Yes.
raise your right hand. Thank you so much, Jerry. Do you swear the testimony you provide is the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you so much, Jerry Osler. Okay, thank you all. And as we have done with our previous applications, we have asked one of our board members, Diana Abate will be the case manager. She'll be running it, and then we will just ask questions. Thank you. Diane.
Yeah, all right. Good evening. It's a little strange talking to a phone icon, but
Yeah.
I'll do my best. All right, so I'm going to start with the exhibits I have here. Starting with, so now we're going to do each of them separate, or can we?
We're going to
decide them
talk about
separately?
it in one, but we're going to have
Okay,
two
thank you.
separate decisions.
Excellent, all right.
And you have provided us with two separate drafts, but
Right.
I mean, we know that the exhibits
You
are.
still listening?
the same.
Timothy?
Not.
You didn't hear me? No, you got a little bit of an argument
I'm sorry, I couldn't understand.
because, so Travis was trying to tell you.
Who is speaking?
It's a right of way.
Oh, really?
And I said, no, and then he says, well, the previous owner.
Jason.
Hey,
Jason, your Zoom is no longer muted. Mute your Zoom.
Can we mute him?
And I said, first time, Travis, you're rude to me, and that was it.
Did you mean?
I said, listen, he needs to use it. If he asks permission, he will use it. I just want
Jason, we
Sorry about
just
that.
muted you because you were having a conversation and you had not muted yourself. So if you need to speak, you'll have to let us know. Thank you.
We all heard your conversation.
All right, let's get back to it.
So I don't think I read did I read all of
The sections?
yeah, I don't think so.
You didn't. Do you want to go ahead and?
Hold on.
I'm gonna, if the
1
proposal,
second. John Jacobson, can you hear us? If you can, please unmute.
he left.
Oh, and he's gone again. Okay.
Okay, so the applicable, so it's demolition and site stabilization in the village district, flood hazard, historic and design review overlay districts. The applicable code sections are the same for both applications. It is section 221, 222, 223, 224, 226, 227, 240, 246, 271, 272. Article 4, section 420, 440, 450B. Article 5, section 510, 511, 512, 520, 521, 522, 530, 531, 540. Article 6, section 602, 609, and 620. And Article 7, section 710, 720, 721A, 721, 722A, and 723.
A point, please.
Sorry?
Can I make a point? So he is not in the flood hazard area. You mentioned Article 6, but I want everyone, about a quarter of Travis's area is in the flood hazard. The rest isn't.
Even though it
Silverstein's
flooded?
ours.
My apologies, I thought it was.
He's not in the special.
Yeah, I
flood
picked
hazard
that up
area.
on one of the.
What?
Oh my God, he's unmuted again.
Is that Jason?
Yeah.
Jason, can you please mute your phone?
Yep, sorry.
Is he muted?
He's
Yes.
muted now. He's
Yeah,
good.
he's muted.
Mr. Silverstein, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Great, okay, all right. All right, so I'm going to go through the exhibits, starting with Exhibit 1, which is the DRB cover sheet and gives the dates of the hearings. Exhibit 2 is the warning. Exhibit 3 is the application, which is a 3-pager. Exhibit 4, there is a building plan and showing, I guess, the lot line boundaries. Exhibit 5 looks like your tax deed transfer of ownership. And Exhibit 6 is the list of abutters who were mailed.
I believe Exhibit 5 is the Lister card.
Yep, lister card, okay, I called it transfer deed card or whatever, okay, fine. The other thing I'd like to enter also into the exhibit are the previous applications, if that's.
You can.
Can I?
Yep.
Okay. So there was an application from January 23rd, 2019. And then a second application, February 11th, 2019. And a third application of May 15th, 2023. And
So what you're putting into as exhibits, is it the application and the decision?
The full, yeah.
Okay, so it's the application and the
it's
decision.
all the exhibits and decisions and.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All right. So starting with, I guess, the administrative section. This is really more administrative things, just going over some of the procedures and the purpose of the hearing. So 222, 23, 24, 25, or 26 talks about who we are as a board, why you're here, and do you have any questions about that?
Mr. Silverstein, that question is to you. Do you have any questions about
Sure.
our?
No,
Okay,
none.
all right.
Thank you.
Moving on to section 4. 4 goes into districts and uses. You've got the trifecta, you're in the village, the historic design review district, a village design review district, and no, you're not in the.
Not
It's not in the
Nope.
village design.
So that can come out. All right,
Just
that
the
was a little.
historic.
So that's good. All right, so under the 420, what is the purpose of the village district is to retain the character of the existing village, to provide for future residential and commercial development through historically appropriate structures and business types at appropriate densities, promote residential and tourist quality of life by preserving and developing a cluster village reflecting a visibly vibrant and energized community. As you know, this village became a historic district in 1980. And I was voted into the DRB zoning as an important and part of community pride in terms of keeping and maintaining the historic buildings and village for everybody's enjoyment and use over the years. So you are in that district and are proposing to take the buildings down. I do want to, and again, I want to go back to these other applications where the one just a year and a half ago, we approved, you came before us and we approved an application for you to do a single family home in both buildings, I guess a 2-bedroom. Prior to that, you were going to do a restoration again of a single family. And then one of the buildings was going to remain vacant, but you were going to do complete restoration. And then in your first application, I guess you purchased the property in 2018 or thereabouts, and this was in 2019. And you provided an application with exhibits with a really great letter to in your application about how these buildings serve as a gateway to Wilmington, Vermont. And I guess you had purchased these properties right after the Irene flood. Is that, stop me if my narrative is not. Okay. And at that time, and I'm reading from that exhibit, it was a very nicely written and impassioned letter, but in conclusion, these buildings serve as the gateway to Wilmington, Vermont, and it's an absolute travesty how long they've remained derelict at curing tax arrears and depressing this beautiful town. Nobody even cared enough to maintain the overgreen grass until we took possession. A total of 2,590 days of neglect since the Hurricane Irene. That's totally inexcusable. I'm extremely confident this development review board will agree with my historically appropriate restorations, thus enabling our organization to acquire and restore additional eyesores that are plaguing our town and jeopardizing its growth and economic future. So I guess I turn to you to say or ask what happened, like where.
I care more about what I agree with the governor of Vermont. There's what's called priority housing projects, and this project is going to conform to what's called priority housing projects, and we're proposing affordable housing. I feel that's more important than preserving some old buildings that are basically non-viable at this point.
So you realize
housing people is more important.
Right, and you had, okay, well, I don't see any plans of what you're planning on doing. You're here before the board to tear the buildings down. So, and I don't see any.
That's correct.
I don't see a viable plan in front of us that we could react to say that this is a better plan than preserving the character and preserving the historic nature of the town, which you clearly had at least we're in agreement, a few years back, as early as 2 years ago. So I'm just trying to understand where, the shift.
Well, the shift is there's a need for affordable housing in the state of Vermont right now. And these historical associations, for example, let's see, the State Register of Historic Places and the National Register for Historic Places will have no objection to the removal and designation of these two buildings once we go through our DRB process here. And then we go through the process of proposing a plan and getting a permit thereafter.
So I guess I would want to know why the building, is the building, you're taking the building down because of, what, for what reason?
First of all, it's financially non-viable right now to preserve them at this point. And it's also a great need for housing. There's a shortage of housing in Wilmington, especially for affordable housing.
So, Mr. Silverstein, there is nothing in this application that lets us know what you're planning to do after this. I'm going to ask Jessica Roberts, if there is permission granted, at what time would it need to come back to the DRB for a change of use?
Yes, so this is the phase one of a two-phase program. This would be for demolition and site stabilization. He would then have to come back to the DRB for whatever his plan is for affordable housing in that area.
But as of now, we don't have any idea what that plan is. We have nothing in writing or anything to tell us what your plan is.
I'm looking at plans that have changed several times over the last 8 years. And what's to say we're going to grant permission to demo the buildings, which will be gone from history forever. And something changes again, or there's another decision and, you know, that's where I'm struggling. I mean, I don't.
Well, the town's not flourishing right now. Maybe we should try to get some affordable housing in the town so that we could actually have people that live in the town that could work in the businesses throughout the town. So
Right.
that's what we should do. How many people am I going to house in those two old buildings right now? It's financially non-viable
Can I
to
ask
go
you,
that
can I
way
ask you a
because
question?
this
on
is
that?
my money, not yours.
Yeah, of course. Can I ask
Excuse
a
me, one
question?
of our DRB members would like to speak.
Eric, I was just curious, the original plan was to put housing in them because it was a single family home and the other one was also a single family home, which is still
No,
housing.
It was, one of them was vacant. The last decision, and I was gonna say something, but I was
The
gonna wait.
2023.
The last decision was to put a single family home in one of them. And the other one was no plan except to restore the facade, the
Right.
outside
Okay,
facade.
so one of them was already slated for housing,
3 bedroom.
Yep.
which is what we're talking about. But what I'm
but
curious to
no,
know
we're
is
talking about
when
a
you're
demolition.
indicating that something is financially non-viable, could you elaborate on that a little bit and provide some information?
Sure. It requires such extensive work to get it to a point where we could actually house people in there that it doesn't pay to even do it at this point because we're not saving anything. The floorboards are horrible. All the beams, it's all balloon construction. It doesn't make sense to start reconfiguring these buildings to make them into apartments.
Do you have a cost comparison to show us?
No, I don't.
Where are we? 450?
Do you have any plans in mind for the type of affordable housing that you're going to propose?
Yes, I do. Yes, I'm going to propose the maximum. I want to build out, let's say, a number of 3. I want to build out a maximum of 11,920 square feet. And on the number 5 location, I want to build out a maximum of 19,684 square feet. On 4 floors total.
4 stories?
Not this town.
4 floors.
So.
That's my right. That is my right,
So
actually, right now to do.
I'm going to stick to what's in the application, and that's for a demolition of 2 historic buildings in the downtown historic district. And,
yes.
Okay, so what we're trying to understand is, you know, what your rationale is for tearing the buildings down and not doing restoration or renovation, which are all things that are supported under the zoning for historic buildings, and which she came to the board at least on 3 occasions to do. And
well, it's impossible for me to utilize the 2 existing buildings to obtain 31,604 square feet because that's what I like to build on these 2 contiguous properties.
so,
Maximum structure heights.
Yeah, can I speak a little
sure,
bit?
go ahead.
Hold on one
So,
second.
the question is being raised up here about the 4th floor. With Act 181 that was passed last year that we talked, actually affordable housing, they can build a 4th floor, and towns can't forbid it. We had this discussion when we were updating our bylaws, because our fire trucks only go to 38 feet, and we brought this to the state, and they basically said, we don't care. They're really pushing that towns have to allow affordable housing to an additional 40% of density and an additional 4th floor. We won't have a choice in that matter.
If you 2 would like to be witnesses, would you please come up here so you can speak into the microphone? And anytime, just let me know. But if you'll both just move into those chairs, so because we have to be recording and because Mr. Silverstein has to hear your questions, we have to have you by the microphone, please. Tom says, are you going to speak?
I am not.
So we've sort of moved into the section 500, which is the historic overview. So.
Yes.
Okay.
So Diane is continuing with the sections.
Oh, I thought we were getting testimony. No?
Did you want to give testimony at this time, Sheila and Jerry?
Might as well wait.
I'm sorry?
We
You
might
wanna
as well
wait?
Wait until she's finished.
Okay. That's fine.
All right, section 520, or let's see, 520. Historic Design Review District purpose. Under the Design Review District, the intent is to preserve the beauty and the historic buildings of historic significance as defined by the National and State Register of Historic Places. And the board is really tasked with protecting the characteristics of not just the buildings, but the buildings that are part of a larger district, if you will, and are, you know, sort of support each other.
Diane, I'm sorry to interrupt again, but I
yeah.
just want to correct something.
Yep.
It might not have been Act 181. John might know. It might have been S 100. But either way, that was passed through this last year or two
For what?
legislatively to allow the increased density for affordable homes.
Right,
and
but
affordable
that's
floors.
not
but we're
being
not,
discussed.
that's not what's.
Right, I just
on-
wanted to correct my mistake as,
Oh, okay.
That's
as to
okay.
the
Thank you.
acts.
So 521 Historic Design Review boundaries, we know clearly you're in that, within there. Your building is listed with the National Registry. It falls under our review. And the goals of the Historic Design Review District is to preserve the historic and cultural heritage of the historic downtown, to support maintenance, change, and preservation of buildings and property in accordance with the design guidelines of the zoning ordinance, promote the use of buildings and property in a manner that benefits the community and individual property owners while preserving those features that have architectural or historic merit, to attract visitors and encourage tourism by enhancing the visual character as a New England village, to encourage maintenance and preservation of buildings and property and changes to support a visually attractive village for the pleasure of residents and visitors, to encourage and support economic growth and prosperity within the community while maintaining the New England character, to encourage public and private investments that may result in a positive contribution to visual harmony and economic vitality, and protect these assets for future generations. So, any comments to that? Yes.
Did you wish to speak? Go ahead, Sheila.
This whole section that you have just read about preserving, restoring the historic district, especially the district that's been named in the last 10 years, a downtown designation, further to restore and maintain the New England character. I think phrases everything better than I could possibly do it all in this one speech. So I would say that is exactly what I would like to say. I do believe that a 31,000, knowing enough about construction, having been a designer for so many years and built buildings as well as renovation and restoration work and additions on houses, et cetera, et cetera. The proposal of a $31,000 square foot building would be, if you picture it, enormous. The enormity of it is almost incomprehensible when you realize that the Red Mill that we also owned for 48 years was 10,000 square feet. So we're looking at something that would be dazzling in size and could no more, not possibly, continue with the scale of everything that is now existing in the town of Wilmington. Just to press on the historic value of our village, we have 8 contiguous architectural design methods from 1830 through to the 1910 buildings in the center of the village. And we are the only town in the state of Vermont to have such the continuous number of
Cluster.
decade-long architectural methods. I think it's extremely important to preserve all of that. Now, I am completely understanding of the fact that we have to have affordable housing. There's thousands of acres in this town where we can build affordable housing, and maybe even at some scope approaching 31,000 square feet. And I think that should be very seriously considered. After all, Main Street in this small section of probably not more than 1,000 feet is the whole duration, extension rather, of the design district, the historic district. So I think there's plenty of space in this area, just contiguous to the immediate village, to put up a $31,000 building that would have umpteen apartments and housing, whatever the cost. And to restore the existing buildings would be no more expensive than to build new, especially with the tariffs on lumber coming into the state of Vermont. And it's going to be tremendously expensive to build anything here. And with that, I will temporarily conclude.
I mean, you guys could stay there because you might want to talk more, whatever you want to do.
Thank
But I
you.
just want to be sure that you realize we need everything on, in the speaker.
Exactly. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sheila.
So section 530 talks about the DRB review of a site plan and design review required on a design review district development. So for the historic design review district and the village design review district, if you're talking about a construction of a building or altering or tearing down or removing any portion, filling in, scaling, boarding up, and in this case, we're talking about demo, which is a major undertaking in this district. So for the historic, let's see, historic design review district, it is a significant change, and I mean, it's, yeah, that's section 530. 531, if you have, nope, 540. So there is a site plan and design review standards, and I guess as I'm hearing you speak about wanting to build affordable housing, I'd want to, you know, I think we'd want to see we'd see that plan and know what you're building before allowing the destruction of 2 historic buildings in the village. It's just how I'm, at least where I am right now. And I also feel that we move to section 700, preserving the unique character of the town. Again, is important in protecting the economic viability and vitality of the town and how we serve the needs of the community. You are part of a community. There's character and aesthetics and a scenic value of your building and where it's situated and located. And, you know, preserving the character of the town is, to the extent reasonable and possible, should happen in a community with a historic downtown.
I'm going to interrupt. Sheila
Go ahead.
has something else to say.
Yes, in addition to everything I've said before, I'd like to point out that the, if I didn't mention the cost of replacing and doing it in absolute compliance with all the regulations, would be equally expensive and or much more expensive than just to fix up the buildings. And who cares whether it's got a balloon construction inside? I know how to fix it for that matter. But I would like to
How are
point
you
out,
going to add 2 floors onto that building? How would you add 2 floors to the building? Tell me how.
I would like to point out one other thing. We have not been able to be involved in the maintenance of the buildings for some years. The buildings were purchased from us by Jim Barnes. We were never paid for them. And the dereliction is not our fault. We would have loved to be able to have continued to keep them under the good control we had them for the 45 years that we owned them. Therefore, it was not possible for us to be involved in restoration at the time that he owned them. And since we were never paid for them, certainly we never had the opportunity to improve them anyway.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, go
So
ahead, Diane. Sorry.
Further in section 723, that under a conditional use preserving the character of the town, historic preservation compliance with the following guidelines is required in the historic design review district. The design review district, to the extent reasonable and possible, to preserve, rehabilitate, or restore historic structures as defined below. And I won't read through all of them, but there is a quite a thorough list of compliances and discussion on historic structures and preservation, rehabilitation, and restoration. But I will point out on E, it talks about the demolition of historic structures. A historic structure that may reasonably be preserved, rehabilitated, or restored or renovated by the current owner seeking application for land development. And the owner shall not demolish any historic structure certified as a historic structure as defined by the Internal Revenue Code, 26 US 47, or listed on any state or federal register of historic places. The Development Review Board may require the applicant to pay the reasonable cost of an independent technical review and may recess the hearing pending receipt of independent technical review findings. Any questions on that?
Not according to what I've been told, so we'll see where that goes. I just ask that the board familiarize themselves with priority housing projects in the state of Vermont.
I don't disagree that we need housing in the state of Vermont. There's,
Right.
I don't think anybody would tell you that that's not a dire need.
I'd like to make a recommendation to the Development Review Board. I would like to continue the hearing and I would like to request that the applicant provide us with an independent technical review at his cost.
I would ask that we provide that at his cost.
That's not going to happen because I don't need to. It's not required of me. According to priority housing projects for affordable housing, it's not necessary.
But this is designed to start.
I didn't hear what he said.
I don't
So he
know.
doesn't need to, because.
Can you explain?
I'll repeat myself. I'm sorry. According to what's defined as priority housing projects and affordable housing projects, that is not required. I could go directly to the state and bypass the DRB, but I choose not to. I want to get the DRB's input as far as my design is concerned. So that's why we're even here today before we even do the demolition.
Well, now,
we were getting a little pushback here, apparently.
well, no, I think the local codes govern and have priority over the state.
But even if they don't, then he would still have to still have to rebuild based on our zoning. So even if you could bypass this DRB in order to take the building down, you can't bypass this DRB to put something else up. So coming to us first was the right decision, regardless of who has the final say. But what we're explaining is that from our position, it's our role to protect the historic buildings, and it hasn't been made clear to us yet, using any other information other than your testimony, that the buildings are not able to be restored, rehabilitated, or preserved in their current state. So we don't have enough information to hear your suggestion or be open to what it is that you're proposing, because you haven't made your case yet that the buildings are too expensive. You've simply stated it, but we have nothing to look at to compare that information to.
I understand. Hypothetically, if I wanted to add 2 more floors to the building. Let's just say the buildings were perfect or they're about to fall down. There's no viable solution to adding 2 more stories to those existing buildings.
It's not our responsibility to facilitate your expansions of the building. It's our responsibility to preserve the buildings in their current state. And you're saying that in their current state, it's not financially feasible. You'll just have to provide something to us that says that and corroborates your stance. We can't just say, sure, tear the building down because you want to add another floor and that doesn't work with its current structure. We can't draw those 2 lines together. So,
I mean, yeah, I mean that, or, you know, you might consider selling the property to somebody who is willing to take on the rehabilitation and restoration of the buildings.
Exactly.
Right, but the state of Vermont enacted this priority housing project. They feel there's a need for, it's an emergency basically for affordable.
Yeah, but we
housing.
did approve you to
Sell
make
the
housing
building
in one
and
of them,
Find another
and we
lot.
supported
Wait a
that
minute, only one
plan.
at a time. You go.
No, actually, matter of fact, I was talking about this with Jessica. I mean, it wouldn't work on a different lot. It would work in a downtown. They want projects in downtown areas right now. They don't want them in rural sections. They want them downtown, these projects. I couldn't build this type of project in a rural setting.
Yeah, no, I was commenting that the
And this is also
previously
exempt from
approved
Act
permit.
250 as well.
Excuse me. Let's let Crystal speak, please.
I was just saying that we did approve it to be used as housing for one of the buildings. So the previously approved permit was for housing. You could still proceed with putting the 3-bedroom, was it 3? Unit in there, and that would serve the housing criteria.
It's
So-
not enough housing. One unit is not enough on that property.
So Diane, did you want to speak?
No, I think.
Okay, so I am still recommending and would like to hear from the rest of the DRB that we continue this hearing. We do not have information, to the best of my understanding, to be able to actually provide a decision. And as we have said, there is under section 723E, we can request the applicant to pay the reasonable costs of an independent technical review, and we can recess the hearing pending receipt of that independent technical review. I would like to suggest that that's the direction that we should go in.
That, and I think is a visit to the site,
And I think the board should familiarize themselves with the current Vermont codes as well, especially regarding priority housing projects.
I think that's also great advice, and we'd be happy to look into it.
I'm sorry, Crystal.
I think that's great advice. It's good to know exactly what the boundaries are between all these different. I mean, you have to understand, Eric, the state and then the towns, we are trying to work together to facilitate exactly what you're describing. The housing need is
Sure, we
real.
could do more research
And
on
we're not
that.
trying to prohibit that
Right.
progress. We're simply trying to understand, and we don't have enough information at the moment to understand your proposal. That's just the bottom line.
And then just Cheryl, that's a good point, and that'll give us time to do that. And on the independent technical review, it would be a conflict of interest for him.
I'm not going to pay for an independent technical review. I'm going to be very candid with you. That's something that's not required of me to happen to do. I'm going to be spending enough money on architects for this project and a bunch of other soft costs. That's not in my budget to do, nor am I going to do it. It's not required to do that.
It is.
Well, as the
In
DRB,
the eyes of the state, I don't have to do that.
Okay,
So we can just
Charlie is
request it.
speaking.
We're not.
as the DRB, we are continuing the case. We're telling you that what we're asking for. If you'd like to continue with DRB, that's what has to be done.
Okay, so you're saying that I'm not allowed to build my affordable housing project until I conform to the DRB's rule of hiring another consultant.
That is
Yes,
correct.
that's exactly what we're saying. We've
Right.
already
No, I
issued
don't
a
agree with that.
previous case.
I'm
where
going
you-
to have to go to the state with this directly then. I came to your board in good faith. I will just have to go directly through the state then.
We've issued a previous case where you were approved for short-term for housing there. This is our on your current case, we're asking you to get a consultant. The case will be continued till then.
So I want to just
Hold on, Diane
Yep.
speaking
clarify
next.
that the consultant, the independent technical review is not somebody he hires, he pays for, but it is an independent. So if it's hired by the owner, that is not considered independent. That's a conflict of, it's considered a conflict of interest. And it would have to be somebody we appoint and he would pay for.
The alternative to.
I'm not paying for anything or anybody who's not working for me. That's not anything that I have here. I'm going by what the state of Vermont is dictating as priority housing projects.
Hey, Eric, as an
And in
alternative,
fact, this,
in section 723.
and I believe this only comes into play on projects with 75 or more units. This is less than 75 units, this project.
I'm sorry, excuse me, Diana speaking?
No.
I'm sorry,
Crystal.
Diane Crystal speaking.
I was just going to mention that under section 723, which is really what we're talking about right now, in terms of preserving the character of the town, it says clearly there's 4 things that are required. It says the criteria for determining preservation, rehabilitation, restoration / reconstruction. In order for this DRB that you're speaking to be able to consider the demolition or rehabilitation, we need we have to take into consideration the property's historical significance, 2, the property's physical condition, 3, the proposed use, 4, reasonableness of undertaking preservation, rehabilitation, or restoration, and 5, the degree to which this preservation, restoration, whatever, will contribute to preserving or enhancing the character of the community. What you're asking of us, we don't have this information. We don't know what the property's physical condition is. You didn't provide us anything that indicates that its condition is too far from being restored. We don't know what the proposed use is in terms of specifics. You've simply stated affordable housing. We do know the property's historical significance. And right now that information is taking the balances further onto that side because you haven't provided us any of these other data points. Do you understand that we can't proceed without more information?
Yes, there's also some parameters involving affordable housing, and affordable housing takes precedence over the historic district.
So could you provide any testimony about the property's physical condition right now? You have simply stated
it's in horrible condition right now.
That's what
the larger one. I mean, the beams, it's all balloon construction. We can't even put bathrooms in this place over here, the way it's built.
Do you have any evidence that you can submit to the board that shows this?
Yeah, do you have a contractor?
I can give photographs.
No.
Well,
sorry, you said photographs?
So
I could have photos. We could arrange for a walkthrough.
So I think,
yeah,
part
sure.
of that, hiring of an independent technical review is to have a look at the property's physical condition.
It's not required here for affordable housing. It doesn't say that's something that I'm required to do.
We're
not here for
Mr.
to approve
Silverstein.
affordable housing.
We're not here discussing affordable housing. We are operating under the bylaw of the town of Wilmington for our zoning ordinance. And what we are speaking to you about is the historic features and the requirements for reconstruction and doing whatever you want to do with it, but we can't make that decision without additional information.
Right. That's why I thought the board would be familiar with the parameters of priority housing projects.
We're not
This was passed by the House and Senate.
Whether we were familiar with them or not is irrelevant in the circumstances in which you still haven't
No, the
provided
historic
to us.
district is irrelevant at the end of the day. That's really what's going to be the question.
If you came to us, then we have to filter it through our zoning.
Okay. Jessica, you still there?
Yes, I am.
Oh, hi, Jessica. Yeah. Maybe that.
And I think
you
it's
have
been-
by any chance.
It's been discussed a couple times that they also are going to look at the Home Act and Act 47. I think these things need to be reviewed.
Yeah, I think we already did, but yeah. Sorry, Crystal.
That was Jessica. Sorry, can you repeat that?
He was asking about Act 47, the Home Act, and I was right, it wasn't 181, it was Act 47. And if you were going to continue the hearing, you could also, study what that says and bring that into it. So we have everybody on board and we know what state law is.
Well, we are familiar with state laws. Those of us on the Development Review Board have been appointed by the town select board, and we are familiar with state law. We are also familiar with our town bylaw, but I would be more than happy to spend some time doing more research on, I know last year's legislation made some decisions that we could look into, but what we need to do is have an independent technical review. And we need to.
I don't agree to pay for one.
Then I don't know how
We
we
can
move
just
forward.
leave it that we're putting, and that's, yeah, we'll just leave it at that and he can choose what he wants to do.
Well, we have to continue to a
Yep.
set date, or we have to continue to that. So if we continue, so Mr. Silverstein, under our rules, we can continue for waiting until we get the independent technical review, or we can continue until I don't see there's a whole lot of point in having a site visit. But if you want a site visit, we can continue for a site visit. What's the feeling of the board?
I mean, I'm not a contractor. My site visits,
Yeah.
I'm not going to provide any technical information.
It would for me as an architect who's dealt with historic properties for the last 10 years.
Then I support one if you.
So do you
That's
want to
helpful
do
to
a site visit?
Sure.
Our first continuation will be for a site visit. At that point, when we will continue the hearing until the site visit. When we come back, Mr. Silverstein, we will be asking you additional questions, and we will probably still be looking for an independent technical review, but we would discuss that at our continuation of the hearing. Do you understand?
I may not agree with it, but I'll still cooperate and go and have the site visit with you. We could schedule that.
What's everybody looking at their
Should we do
calendars? John, do you have any comments, questions, anything?
No.
When's our next meeting, DRB meeting?
The next DRB meeting is the 21st. What
Do
does
something
everybody,
Before, like an hour before or something, before the 21st?
I don't know, everybody looking at your calendars, please?
That works for me.
Yeah, Mr. Silverstein, are you ever in Wilmington so that you would be here to take us around? We wouldn't be asking you any
Yes, I am.
questions, but we need someone to open the building so we can see it.
Yes, I'll be around. Let me see which dates I'm going to be up there.
What's everybody looking at on their calendars?
Well, we can wait and see what Eric says.
Do you want to do the 21st before the meeting? That's what Diane said.
It's not my
Or would we
preference.
want to meet?
Not your preference?
Are we going to be continuing this one on the 21st
We can do the site visit
and then continue?
and have it be continued till the 21st as well.
For
Is
daytime.
everybody available on the 21st?
Yeah, can we do it daytime instead of the 4 o'clock?
You
Like-
mean,
like-
have the site visit in the morning or
morning?
something and then continue to 5? I don't know, Diane, can you be back in town for that?
Yeah, I think so.
Is that what you're suggesting?
Yep, okay.
So,
Okay.
Mr. Silverstein, are you available on Monday, April 21st at 11 o'clock to let us in the building?
Yes.
Thank you. So we will continue to a site visit on Monday, April 21st, 11 a.m. And we will continue the hearing to Monday, April 21st at 5 p.m. Everybody understand?
Yep.
Thank you so much. So I am continuing the hearing. Thank you all for coming.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, you may.
I just have, well, if this is approved, I mean, it is, a bit of an eyesore. It'd be something nice to see something nice there. Where there's no setbacks, once again, how is this going to be built without encroaching onto neighbors' properties, like mine? If
How does it encroach onto your property?
What's that?
How would it encroach onto your property?
Okay, that's right. Yes, I just have, I have tenants there and that's all. Okay.
I'm just curious how it would encroach onto anyone else's property.
Well, to set up any kind of scaffolding, to dig for a foundation, so that can all be done from the other side?
It goes around the whole entire building over here. I mean, there's no encroachment on any of the properties.
Well, if you go all the
There's
way,
plenty of room.
if you go all the way to the back and you go right up to my property, then yeah, how would you do the backside?
Well, I guess there's going to have to be underpinnings on one side of the building.
Well, that's what I'm asking. How like,
Well, there's going to be an overcut over there, obviously. So I guess we'll have to go right up to the property line. And if possible, we'll have to have a few inches on either side, a very small amount.
all right, no, that's all. I just don't want to run into any issues like with
There's going to be
Travis
protection.
thinking
We'll
that.
have fencing around it. There'll be construction fencing around everything.
Thank you all, gentlemen. We are continuing the hearing, so we
Appreciate that. Thank you.
ended. Thank you so much.
Thank
We're
you.
continuing our meeting, but we are continuing the hearing. Thank you. Anybody have any new or old business?
I do not.
I'd like to make a motion that Travis go buy some alcohol. Don't put that in the paper either.
Don't print anything Charlie says.
Okay,
Don't print anything I said.
Do we need to close the meeting
What?
or
What are we doing?
we're still,
We
We're
haven't
going to
closed
executive
our
session.
meeting
I know,
yet,
I
so
know.
we are not, meeting is not closed.
okay,
Meeting is still ongoing.
just continued the hearing. Copy.
I am going to at whatever time it is. I'm closing the meeting at 6:50 and we will go into our
Yes, deliberation.
Motion to close.
deliberations.
Our alcohol drinking.
No alcohol.
What do you think this is?
Okay, so
No, we need to keep him on,
we're-
because John's here.
we're done.
No,
Okay.
I'm not turning it off yet. John's still on.
John, yeah,
Yeah,
we-
don't turn
Are we
it
gonna
off.
call us or do we ever close everyone out? or-
what we do is we get rid of everybody else and keep him on, and we stop recording. Start by stopping recording.
He was offered
I do all the paperwork behind the
$250,000
scenes, you know,
for the
you
small
know.